These are my DIY brain glasses. These lenses optimize my circadian rhythm. These earphones put my brain into a calm, meditative, or creative state. And finally, I have this electrode that stimulates my vagus nerve. Now, this allows me to process emotions better, it allows me to be more creative, and it can even help treat depression. In this video, I want to show you how to create these glasses for about 10 times less than what it would cost if you were to get them from the manufacturer. I want to show you the science behind them, what's more proven, what's less proven, and why you might want to use these technologies. And then I want to show you exactly how to use them throughout your day to make your day better. So let's start by talking about the science of these blue blocking lenses. The reason that these can be beneficial for your circadian rhythm is twofold. Now, the first thought is that these blue light wavelengths, which are some of these lower wavelength light, can actually damage your retina, and that comes from animal studies. Now, if you damage your retina in that way, it prevents you from detecting broader wavelengths of light, the same wavelengths that you use to modulate your circadian rhythm. So if you damage your retina in that way, it actually breaks your ability to follow that circadian rhythm. The second thing is that there's some thought that blue light actually tells your brain that it is morning. And so if you're getting your blue light at night, that will directly affect your circadian rhythm and actually make your sleep off a little bit. Now, evidence behind this is a little spotty. There's not a ton of evidence for either of these assertions. But a review by Henderson and Grimes suggests that there is tons of evidence that the blue light blocking is not harmful, and that there's enough theoretical evidence that it makes sense to just try it out and use it because it's not very expensive. So in my own estimation, there's probably somewhere between a 10 and 30% chance that there's a real effect here that has enough of a clinical significance to actually make an impact on your sleep. But these are very cheap. It's a very easy intervention. And so it doesn't make sense to not do them if I needed glasses anyway for this project. Now let's take a look at the evidence for using these headphones through which I pump binaural beats. Now, there's not an abundance of research on binaural beats out there, but the folks at examine.com have done us the favor of taking the limited research out there and telling us what effects can we expect given the limited research that is out there. And they found that there is an ability to have a notable effect on your anxiety, on your feeling of pain, and on your relaxation, as well as with different binaural beats, enhancing your creativity and your focus. So again, while we need more data to say if there's a real effect here, because there could be things like publication bias, the limited data we have does seem to suggest there is an effect from using binaural beats to change the frequency at which your brain operates. Now, my personal belief is that there's probably a 50-50 chance that binaural beats have a measurable effect. But just like with the blue blocking glasses, the cost of using this intervention is very small. And at the very least, you get the placebo effect, even if there's no actual effect from these binaural beats. So I don't see any downsides to using them. Finally, let's talk about these ear electrodes, which stimulate your vagus nerve. Now, vagus nerve stimulation was originally conceived as an implant that you could get surgery and implant in your chest. And it was for people with seizures, and it was found that if you shock the vagus nerve every so often, it would reduce the incidence of seizures. Now, after a few years, clinicians began to notice a trend where patients that had these implants had dramatic reductions in their symptoms of depression and anxiety. Now, eventually, a smart anatomist realized that, hey, the vagus nerve is actually very close to the skin at certain points in your neck and your ear. So potentially, instead of doing this invasive treatment, we could simply shock it through the skin and have these wonderful beneficial effects that way. So the question is, does the evidence bear out this idea that you can shock the vagus nerve through the skin and get large effects on your nervous system? A 2017 review by Simpinu et al. Of invasive, that's implanted vagus nerve stimulation on depression is pretty split on this issue. See, we have a boatload of smaller randomized controlled trials, as well as very large observational studies that suggest that vagus nerve stimulation has a strong, measurable effect on treatment-resistant depression. However, the largest double-blind randomized controlled trial we have found no effect of invasive vagus nerve stimulation on depression. So the evidence seems pretty inconclusive at this point, and we need more data. Now, when it comes to transcutaneous vagus nerve stimulation, which is through the neck or the ear rather than an implant, we don't have that many studies. It's a relatively new modality, but they seem to be pointing in the direction of most of the studies for the invasive vagus nerve stimulation with similar effects. Now, my own thought on this, given the biological effects we've been able to observe from vagus nerve stimulation, I think there's probably about a 70% chance that this can be quite effective for depression in particular. And moreover, I think there's a good chance that it may also impact things like creativity and emotional processing through enhancing memory reconsolidation. Now, unlike our other two modalities, there is, I imagine, a significant chance that there are unmeasured negative effects on your brain. Something that has such a global effect, able to overcome depression, may have unmeasured effects on certain types of memory or certain types of attention in negative directions. I think it's very rare to get a free lunch when you're talking about globally shocking your nervous system. So, I think that for you, it's probably only worth it to use transcutaneous vagus nerve stimulation if you have treatment-resistant depression or you have chronic pain and you've tried other things and they haven't helped. It probably makes a lot of sense to try transcutaneous vagus nerve stimulation. Now, alternatively, if you're like me and you have a high risk tolerance and you just like to try cool new things, you might want to check it out as well. So that is the science. That is everything I was able to research, distilled down for you. Let's talk about how to actually build these classes. So let's take a look at what it takes to actually build this. First, you're going to need a pair of blue blocking sunglasses. I got these from Amazon for about $15, and this is going to allow you to control your circadian rhythm. Secondly, you're going to want a pair of Bluetooth earbuds. You're going to want them with a long stem at the end so they can work with this setup. And again, I got these from Amazon for about $15. Then you're going to want a TENS unit that can control amplitude, pulse width, and pulse length in a fine-grained way. Now with that, you're going to want to get some of these nice ear clip electrodes.
Both of those together will run you about $30 from TENS Pro.
To tie it all together, you're gonna need a little bit of beater's wire or jeweler's wire like this. That's about $5. You're gonna want a tub of crazy glue. That's about another $5. And then you're gonna want this multi-purpose cable clips set, which is gonna run you about another $5. So all in all, this is gonna run you about $80. Now, if you were to get a factory transcutaneous vagus nerve stimulator like the Parasim, that's gonna run you about $800 US, and that's not gonna come with your binaural beats or your blue blocking glasses. So this is a very economical option. Now the first thing I'm gonna wanna do here is I'm gonna wanna take one of these ear electrodes and I want to cut off this flat part, the side that does not actually have an electrode on it. So you're going to want a heavy-duty pair of scissors, an electrician's scissors, or this pair of EMT shears. So I'm just going to snip off most of that flat part that does not contain the electrode. Now the next piece here is I'm going to take one of the other electrodes and I'm going to disassemble it so that it is apart. I take a little bit of finagling just to get to a chance where it comes apart like that. So now that I have this in two pieces, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the electrode side and I'm going to super glue it onto the other side. I'm going to hold this for at least 30 seconds here so that the glue can set. I'm pretty comfortable with that, and that'll get stronger over the next day or so. So now I've got my ear electrode here that can go from one side of my tragus to the other, which is what I need for this transcutaneous vagus nerve stimulation. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my beater's wire here, and I'm going to cut off about 3 to 6 inches. 3 strips of 3 to 6 inches, about that long, is going to be good. And again, I'm going to do this for 3 strips. And the reason we use the wire here and we attach this to these electrodes is that I found that if you just put them on without having them suspended, then they tend to fall off. So we use the wire to make sure that the ear electrode is at the exact right height. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to twist these 3 wires together. Now, optionally at this step, you can cover the wire in rubber. So what I did is I just took an old Ethernet cable that I wasn't using. I stripped it, and then I put the wire inside this Ethernet cable. So I'm just going to cut it to length here. I'm going to strip it down, and then I'm going to put the wire inside of it. I'm going to do that, and then we'll go on to the next step. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this wire, and I'm going to super glue it to the little arm of the glasses here, so that it can be in my ear. Now it's very important you want to use the left side of the glasses, okay? Because the TVNS needs to be on the left side to be safe and not be dangerous to your heart. So don't use the right side, use the left side, all right? Now if you want, you can burn this closed or cap it off so it looks a little nicer on the edge here. But that is the next step. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is take one of these cable clips from the package. And the first thing you want to do is you're going to actually want to remove all of this white adhesive on the back because you're going to want to use super glue for it. And now that you have the back cleared, you're going to want to cut this in half twice. Once widthwise, once lengthwise. And you can use your scissors from earlier. You want to be a little bit more precise. You can use something like an X-Acto knife. I'm not wearing these out in public, so I don't care too much about it, the cut looking super nice. I'm going to do my best to keep it looking as nice as I can. So there's like that, one way, and then another way, just And now we have our pieces for our headphones. So once I have these cut out, I have these little plastic pieces cut out, what I'm gonna wanna do is I wanna put my earphones, my earbuds inside of them, and I wanna figure out where can this be hooked up so that it actually reaches my ear. Now the reason that I do it like this is I want to be able to use the electrode here at the same time that I'm using these. So these need to be outside my ear at the same distance so that they have the right volume while still being able to have the electrodes in my ear. So I'm just trying to find, okay, where do I place these so that they go in my ear? I'm gonna hold that spot, and that's where I'm gonna put my super glue. Okay, now that I have the spot, I'm just gonna put this super glue right on there and try and get it at that angle. Now I'm just gonna super glue this to the corner here so that it can hold the wire. So the final result is gonna look just like this. So all I have to do to get this to be brainy is to insert my earphones, make sure the right goes on the right and the left goes on the left, into the slots, just like this. And then I've got to plug in my plug in my anode and cathode into my electrode. And that's gonna go just like this. You wanna make sure that your anode's in the front outside of your ear, and your cathode, that's the red bit, is gonna go inside your ear. That's to make sure that this actually works. And so now what I can do, I can put this on, I can make sure these are facing my ears, and I can do my ear clip at the same time, and I'm gonna be able to hear my binaural beats while I'm getting my transcutaneous vagus nerve stimulation. Now you can see here, these are not blue blocking glasses. That's because I've created two pairs of these now. If it's at night, I can hook up my electrodes and my earbuds to this one. And if it's in the day, I can hook them up to this one and ensure that I'm getting the optimal circadian rhythm. So let's talk about how to use this. So how do you actually begin to use these ridiculous looking things? So for the lenses, it's really going to depend on what your beliefs are about the circadian rhythms and how the blue light is going to affect it. If you're worried about your circadian rhythm getting affected because blue light can damage your retina, then you're going to want to be using your blue blocking lenses all the time. Okay? If instead you're worried about the blue light directly affecting your circadian rhythm at night, then you're only going to want to be using these blue blocking lenses at night, and in fact it may actually be a problem and a mistake if you use them in the day. Now for the binaural beats here, what you're going to want to do is get a binaural beat generator on your phone, or just download audio files of the correct binaural beats. I use a program called Brainwaver on my phone, and it has presets, and I just select the preset I want for the effect I want. So if you're going for relaxation, or you're going for lowering anxiety, then you're gonna want to be looking at theta and delta beats. That's gonna be your good range. And if you're specifically looking not only to do that but to lower pain, which these glasses can do, then you're going to want to go specifically for theta. So then you're going to want to set up your TVNS device. You're going to want to change all your settings. Remember, I told you need one that you can change these settings in order to make sure you're actually stimulating your nerve and not burning it out. And this is just my personal setting. There's not an agreed upon protocol yet. I use a pulse width of 180 microseconds. I use a pulse rate of 20 hertz. And then for the current, I set it between 3 and 5, occasionally 6 milliamps. I want it to a point where I can feel it buzzing, but it's not painful. So just below the pain threshold, but high enough that I actually have perceptual awareness of it. And I'm gonna set that for 30 minutes. Every day, I clip this on, and I put on my binaural beats, depending what I'm looking for, and I go work. I don't wanna just have this on constantly for a couple of reasons. One is that when I'm constantly stimulating my vagus nerve, I am constantly stimulating my parasympathetic nervous system. And this actually stops you from getting into flow because you need a balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic to get into flow. I found that they have done one study on this, is if I'm gonna be using this constantly, I'm actually gonna be preventing myself from getting into flow. However, if I want to do some emotional processing, I'm gonna put this on. If I want to relax, I'm gonna put this on. If I want some extra creativity, I'm gonna put this on. And I try to do this 30 minutes once or twice a day because that's what is shown to help with depression and anxiety. So I hope you enjoy that. I hope you get some use out of it. I hope you send me some images of you looking ridiculous with your brain glasses. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. If you have any ways that you can improve this, any things you can add to this, make it even more effective, please let me know. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.